Lots to talk about as we welcome Westminster City Councillor, Reform UK's rising star, Laila Cunningham. Hello, Laila.
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I'm all right. I just want to warn you, you won't like this, but we may have to cut at some point to go and see old Kemi Badenoch, who's staging a weird open-air press conference by the River Thames. So we may have to cut and go and see what she's saying, but I promise you we won't go for very long. But I don't know what she's talking about, but it'll be the economy or something like that. Before, well, hopefully she doesn't interrupt us too much. But let me ask you this. I've been told this is the theme of today's show. I think that we've reached a kind of critical mass in terms of the crimes being committed by asylum seekers. Hundreds of asylum seekers either charged with or convicted of serious crimes. We have to be careful with the horrible murder on Monday of that poor man, 49-year-old guy, Wayne Broadhurst, just walking his little dog down a residential side street to the west of London, Uxbridge, because a Afghani asylum seeker has now been charged with that murder. So you're a lawyer, you'll understand the difficulty there. However, the nation is shocked by this. It's traumatised, I would say. We were traumatised by the sheer horror of the murder anyway. Then we learn that the suspect, the man who's been arrested for it, broke into this country illegally 5 years ago, 2020, and was later granted asylum to stay here forever. So that shocked us. Also, we found out, or last week, an asylum seeker at an asylum seeker hotel in Walsall. He was convicted of the brutal murder, stabbed a poor girl who worked in his asylum seeker hotel in Walsall, stabbed her, waited for her outside and stabbed her 23 times with a screwdriver, and was then filmed dancing around and whooping with excitement. He's been done. He's gone to jail. Also, another asylum seeker whose asylum seeker application was turned down. That's a rare thing. He was so furious, up in Derby this was, he walked into a branch of Lloyds Bank and stabbed a random victim to death. He previously said, because you've refused me leave to stay in this country, I'm going to kill 500 people. But he left it at one. Unbelievable. Also, just one more example of more and more of these cases cropping up. We've learnt today that another asylum seeker is awaiting sentence. He's doing what so many asylum seekers do, delivering food to the houses in Maidstone in Kent. 2 women answer the door, he sexually assaults them. He's waiting to be sentenced. He's been found guilty of that. More and more and more of this. We're beginning to palpably experience the results of what happens if a country opens its borders and lets in, over a period of 15, 16 years, thousands and thousands and thousands of mainly young men about whom we know nothing. This is a national disaster. We've got people ringing out. A woman rang Julia Hartley-Brewer yesterday in floods of tears, saying she's terrified to go out. Something really bad is happening in this country, and we've got a government doing absolutely nothing about it. Your thoughts?
I mean, you're spot on, Kevin. These are devastating, violent crimes, and every single one of them is preventable, because these men, like you say, shouldn't have been here. And I mean, it's a system that invites danger and rewards illegality and punishes us with fear and grief and crime. And the whole system needs to be dismantled. But we have a government right now that prioritizes international relations and prioritizes international treaties over the safety of its people.
Yeah.
They don't want to leave the ECHR. They don't want to remove the pull factors. You know, he says he's going to stop the hotels, but I read that he's signed contracts till 2029.
Yeah.
It's all just spin. I mean, and think about how ridiculous the convicted sex offender, he threatens to lodge a last-minute asylum claim, so we pay him £500 to leave. We are a joke country right now, and we're a seriously dangerous one. If the law, they don't understand that if there's a law or a treaty that stops us from keeping people safe, then of course you change the law.
Yeah, and also, Laila, I think the people are crying out for leadership. Now, after the murder, that murder on Monday night, which was revealed, if you like, on Tuesday, it's not an exaggeration to say that it left this nation in a state of trauma. Millions of people traumatised by this, by the murder, and then the knowledge, the revelation by the authorities, to be fair, not trying to keep secrets. No longer they do that, used to do that, but they released the information that the suspect, the man suspected of this awful crime, is an Afghani asylum seeker who broke into the country 5 years ago and was subsequently granted asylum. A story of our times. So they learned that, they're traumatised. So what I'm saying is, with all these crimes, more and more, danger on the streets, women sobbing, they're so frightened to go out, we are crying out for a statement, some kind of statement from our Prime Minister. Not a word, not a word. Who does he... He's not doing his job, is he?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. No, but then the problem isn't only the law, you're right, it's leadership. And he's not showing any leadership, because I think deep down he must know what has to be done.
Listen, Laila, I'm sorry, that moment has arrived. Can you stay there? We're just going to go and listen to Kemi for just a little while.
I believe Rachel Reeves when she said she wasn't going to put a tax on working people. No! Yeah, I didn't think so. Apparently 1 in 10 people think Rachel Reeves is doing a good job. Who are these people? I haven't met them. She promised not to put a tax on working people. Apparently farmers aren't working people. Apparently anyone who has a job isn't a working person, because they put up the jobs tax, and look at what's happened. Unemployment has risen every single month since Labour came into office. It is what Labour does. Ducks quack, cows moo, Labour puts up taxes. We need to get spending under control. That is the only way we're going to get the economy back on track. Control spending. We've offered to help Labour, but they haven't taken our offer of help. Instead, they're making more and more of a mess. Just this morning, we've seen the news. Rachel Reeves apparently has broken a law, just like Angela Rayner before her and Louise Hay before her. All we see is the Labour cabinet making mistakes, breaking laws. If the Chancellor can't even get it on top of her own paperwork, how's she going to get on top of the country's paperwork? So that is why our message is simple. If she puts up tax, give Reeves the axe. That last budget was a disaster. And after that, she said she wasn't coming back for more. And what have we been hearing all summer? Rises in property taxes, increases in income taxes. They want to tax our homes. They want to tax our pensions. They want to tax our savings. Tax, 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 tax. Enough is enough. If she puts up tax, give Reeves the axe. If you want more of something, you don't tax it. It is a very simple principle. She put taxes on jobs, jobs disappeared. They tax farmers, farmers are closing down. They tax businesses. They're taxing everything. They're taxing education. We're seeing schools close down because they can't afford Labour's taxes. Someone needs to get a grip on it. So Keir Starmer, you need to make sure that your Chancellor gets a grip. If she cannot get a grip on controlling spending, then you need to sack her. Enough is enough. Yeah. But there is an alternative. There is an alternative, ladies and gentlemen, and that alternative is us. We have a plan.
And on that bombshell, now that we've moved on to the pointless declaration of what the Tories will do if they win the next election, which of course they won't, we'll leave Kemi to lecture the 30 or so journalists who are standing by the River Thames right now. Lucky for them, it's quite a nice day. Listen, before I get your reaction to this, you're about to say, I am demanding that the Prime Minister shows some leadership and addresses the nation and gives us some kind of statement about this asylum seeker crime wave, particularly in the light of that horrific murder on Monday night in Uxbridge. You were about to tell me what you thought about that, Laila.
No, I completely agree with you. And I think the country is sick and tired. We're sick and tired of being sacrificed. We're not only ignored, Kevin, we're being sacrificed. Because they're letting people, like you say, we have no idea who they are, and they're putting them among us. And they just don't care. I feel they don't care. Do you feel
Yeah,
they care?
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that we, the people of Britain, shouldn't have to live like this. We shouldn't have to live in fear. More and more mothers worried about their kids going to school. More and more husbands worried about their wives. You know, and let's not make this a wife and kids thing. You know, that guy who was brutally murdered on Monday, in case you didn't notice, is a man. This is a safety issue for every person in this country, and something ought to be done. At the very least, I think we should expect a statement from our Prime Minister. Statement has come there, none. It's a disgrace, a disgrace. Now, you were just listening to what Kemi was saying. I'm not particularly interested in what the Tories' plans are, because they're not going to ever come into play. But I did think that was quite a good speech by her on, you know, Rachel Reeves. If she puts up the tax, give her the axe. And she's pointing out that the reason this budget, she's going to have to break all our promises at the end of November with this budget from hell, her second budget from hell. The reason she's going to have to tax the backsides of us, 2p in the pound we're now hearing, unbelievable. It was 1p as of yesterday. Now we think it's going to be double that. The reason she's going to have to break all her promises is because of her last budget. £40 billion tax grab that killed the economy stone dead. We've had no growth, nothing, the economy, business dying, everything. And therefore she's created a £50 billion black hole in our finances. This one, she made all by herself, and now she's got to fill it with our taxes. She's got to break our promises. This is an economic disaster, isn't it?
Yeah, they have no respect for the taxpayer. They have no respect for the person that wakes up, works hard, and supports this country. You know, they always want to talk about the very rich, how you can tax them more, and the very poor, how you can get them benefits, more benefits. But that middle section, who actually pays for everything and works hard, is totally ignored by Labour. And it is rich coming from Kemi, though. The tax burden was the highest since World War II under them. They raised national insurance twice under Johnson. And they raised corporation tax. They over-regulated and overtaxed as well, and they sent all businesses abroad. We're number 20 for IPOs now in the world, behind Mexico. And with them, those that IPO abroad take all their taxes, their employment, everything to another country. We don't have an environment where people want to set up businesses. We don't, because we don't reward risk.
Exactly right. And seems to be Kemi's event. I'm just watching the telly now. Kemi's event seems to be breaking up. So that lasted all of about 7 minutes. Unbelievable. What would reform do to save our economy?
Well, we bring back the Big Bang. You know, we want to see, we've completely deindustrialized our nation as well, thanks to net zero. We've allowed, that's China's long game. That's how it weakens its enemies, other countries. It allows it, it deindustrializes it. We want to see manufacturing back. You know, we want to see businesses thrive here. Deregulate. I think there's too much regulation. But you will hear a big statement on the economy soon from us.
And Danny Kruger, your colleague, you're one of the MPs for Reform UK, he announced the other day that he was going to, well, you can put it this way, declare war on our grotesquely bloated civil service, the blob. More than 500,000 people working for national government alone. That's not including all the millions of people, millions, that may be an exaggeration, working for local councils. We have way too many people working in the public sector. That inherently is bad for the economy, right?
I mean, we have a massively growing public sector that's taking so much money, and productivity, I think, is the lowest it's ever been. But I think about 50% of the public work somehow for the government, either directly or at arm's length or for a third party. That's how bloated the system is, and we're paying for it. And the thing is, in a way, Kemi was right, because all they talk about are tax rises. They never talk about cutting spending. And when you talk about cutting spending, people are like, oh, you're going to cut frontline services. No, there is a massive bloated layer that we're paying for, and it's costing us a fortune. And no government has had the guts or the political will or, you know, the courage to kind of really intrinsically look at it. But that's what we need to do. We need to cut spending. We need to reduce regulation. We need to encourage businesses to come here and set up shop. We're not. When we have our big unicorns going to France or people listing abroad, that's not a good sign for an economy.
It's certainly not. Laila, really, really good to talk to you. So you were interrupted by Kemi Badenoch, but her event didn't take very long, did it? Thank you so much. Really good to talk to Laila Cunningham, Westminster City Councillor, Reform UK, rising star.